Welcome back. So now that we've got some clean brass, let's make some ammunition. Okay, so of course we're going to start with priming. I do prime before I size. That's just the way it works out, the way my method goes. This is my Lee Auto Desk Prime. It's quite a nice mechanism. I just recently got this. I used to use a hand primer, that one primer at a time, and took a long time. Oh, there's a few parts to this. There's the little piston that drives the primer up. And then the one disadvantage to this is it does take a separate shell holder than the presses do. But you can pick up this whole set that will cover just about every cartridge for, I think I paid $12 for this. So that inserts like that, holds the whole piston assembly down, and now you can see there's the seater. There's two of these assemblies that come with it, one small, one large. This is the container that feeds in the primers to the shells. So I counted out 25 brass today. Figure that's a good start. So we'll dump 25 primers in here. Got 26. Let me get one back. And as you can see, I've got my trusty gloves on again. Now this is a pretty nifty thing. If you wind up with some of them upside down, you just shake it and it flips them right over. You'll close it, put it to lock. Don't want to put it all the way, otherwise you'll dump primers all over the place when you put it in. And it just slides in like that. Then turn it on, and as you can see right here, the primer slid down to position. And then you do have to activate it one time to get the first primer in there. This is a nifty thing where it actually isolates the primer you're putting into the cartridge away from the rest of them, so that if this accidentally goes off, it doesn't set them all off. Now, one of the things that I do while I'm priming, hearing protectors in case one does go off. I'm in an enclosed space and I don't want to hurt my ears. So simple enough, just slide the cartridge in, down, up, and a primed brass. Now, one of the things that I did notice about this is sometimes it doesn't feed right away. You got to kind of get everything going. And you can feel quite well when it bottoms out. I always like to touch it with my finger and make sure. That's about all there is to priming with this, so I'm going to go ahead and finish these up quickly and enjoy the music. And there you go, 25 cartridges primed. Now, I got to tell you that I don't normally have this much trouble with it. I'm sure you noticed while I was doing that I had to tap it quite a bit. Normally, only once or twice in a box of 100. I don't know why I had a little bit more trouble tonight than normal, but it is a new batch of primers. Maybe a little bit of sizing issue. I doubt it, because they fit the brass properly. So anyway, that's it for priming. So now we'll get down to actually producing some cartridges. Let me get everything put together, and I'll be back in just a few minutes, and we'll get the press set up and rolling out some ammunition. Be right back. All right, so we're back with all the supplies I need to get going. Got the press, using the Lee 4-die set, and the auto drum powder measure. And my one concession to a non-Lee product in this particular case is my RCBS powder scale. This was given to me a long time ago by a friend who's no longer with us, and well, I just don't want to give it up. I'm using Berry's bullets. They're plated, 115 grain today, with Vitavuori powder. This is the N350. My brass, and then my reloading Bible, the Modern Reloading 2nd edition by Richard Lee. I recommend this if you don't have it. It's got everything you need in it. And that's where I worked up the load that I'm going to be doing today. So first things first, let's get the dies loaded and set up. Start off with the sizing, well, decapping and sizing die. Now, of course, it's already primed, decapped and primed, so I pulled the depriming pin out, and we'll just use it just as a sizing die. Now, even though I know pretty much how these dies got to be set, I always read the setup instructions. So for this one, it says screw it in till it touches the shell holder, then lower the ram and screw it in 1/4 to 1/3, turn more. So let's get the shell holder in, which is in my Challenger die, which if you notice I pulled off the bench so it wouldn't be in the way. All right. All the way down, touching. We'll go about 1/4 turn more, lock it down. All right. Next is the expander and charging. This one we screw until it touches, then back it out 1 full turn. There we go. Back it out 1 full turn. We may adjust it a little bit after that, because it does say to adjust it to the expansion you like. Now, I do use a riser on this for my powder measure, so let me grab that real quick. Kind of rises the powder measure up out of the way, and also gives the powder further to fall. so that it tends to get out better. And we'll screw it down. Now this powder measure is actually designed for use on progressive presses, so it's only partially automatic. It will dispense the powder properly automatically, but this has a disconnect safety to keep you from double charging the case, that normally when you lower the ram all the way down on a progressive press, it's connected to the platen and it will automatically reset it. On the turret press, you got to manually reset it. All right, so next is the seating die. So this one we screw in until it touches and then back it out 3 full turns. Touching. Two. And 3. And then last is the factory crimp die, which for this one, screw it in until it touches. And then back out the crimping screw, and we'll adjust that in a little bit. Now I've got pre-made up here a dummy bullet, no primer, no powder, which I've got at 1.145, which is a little bit longer than I'm going to be loading to today. I'm going to be loading to 1.142. So what I do is I use this bullet to set the seating die. I want to back that out, make sure it doesn't touch. So I bring it all the way up and then just screw it in until it touches. And then what I'll do, just a little bit more, and then we'll work down to the proper length. And then the other thing we have to set is the crimping die. And how you do that, you run a case up in there. By the way, this also does some sizing as well. Bring this down until it just touches the case, right there. Back the case out, and 1/4 of a turn more. You can do it a little bit heavier than that if you want. I've found 1/4 of a turn seems to work well. So that's all the adjustments done on the dies. Now we need to adjust the powder measure. Now this should be set pretty close, because I just loaded up some rounds the other day on the progressive press. We'll put some powder in. And I've got the scale set for the weight I want. And I'm not going to tell you what I'm loading to, because you can work up your own loads, because what works in my gun may not necessarily work in yours. So now if you watch up here, you'll see that as the case comes up into the mouth of the die, you'll see this actuate. And I got no powder that time because it had to fill up. And I didn't open up the hopper. So let's open up the hopper. Now this is what I'm talking about with keeping it from doing a double load. So I haven't reset the disconnect. So I'll run it up again and notice no movement on the drum. We'll bring it down. I'll do a reset. And there we go. We got powder. Now this should be a light load because it's the first one. And yes, it's very light. So let's run it through again. Okay, case in, reset. That looks a little better, but it still looks light. And it is. This is something I'm going to have to get used to. That's quite a bit of movement, so I'm not going to bring it down all the way. Well, for some reason I don't seem to be feeding powder through properly. Oh, there's powder in there. That looks like a proper load. Yeah, it's close. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and go off camera and get this set up, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Well, it appears, after doing some troubleshooting, the problem was the last time I cleaned out the drum, I was a little bit too rambunctious with how tight I put it back in, and it was binding up. So now we're in good shape, getting full stroke on it, and we should be back in business. Oop. Take a look. That's just a tiny bit heavy. You just use this little key here. Screw it clockwise to lessen the amount. And that appears to be right on the money. So if I can get 3 in a row like that, I'll call it good. And excuse my arm for being in the way. It won't be the whole time, just while I'm weighing it. Another good one. If we get one more, I'm going to call it good. And then I'm one of those that I check like every 6th or so. I'll weigh it just to make sure. I figure powder is one thing you really don't want to take a chance with. Alright, that's 3 good ones in a row. So, let's see if we can make some bullets. Get it back to the start. Okay. Reset the powder measure. Size. Flare and charge. Bullet. Now I tend to not flare very much. I don't like to overwork my brass, so I've got to be a little bit more careful with how I place the bullet on top, but it usually works out okay. Seat it, and then this first one I'm going to check the length on, make sure it's where I want it. That's a little bit long, and let me run it back around again. It was about 3/1000ths over what I want. It was 1.145. So I'm going to screw this in just a little bit. I'm sorry, it was 1.150, not 145. That's 1.146. That should be pretty close now. And that is 1.142. That's right where I want it. So now we'll crimp it. And that's a bullet. And we'll double check the size, the length. 1.143. I'll call that one good. Now I will check many of them as I go. Get an empty container. Yeah, here we go. Reset the powder. Size, flare and charge, and I always visually look. You get a good feel for about where the powder should be. Seat, and I want to check the length again. 1.142. Right on the money. Crimp it. So as you can see, using the turret, while not as fast as the progressive, works pretty well. And I didn't reset the powder on that one. And just because I'm a little bit on the anal side, I check actually quite a bit of them. That's good. So I'm going to run through these real quick. Enjoy the music, and we'll get these done. All right, there you have it. That's 25 rounds. So let me clean things up around here, get the bench cleared away, and I'll be back to wrap this up, give you my first impressions, what I think, and we'll go from there. Okay, so that's my method of reloading from start to finish with my new turret press. First impressions. Now first, let me give you my overall impression of a turret press. Wish I had gotten one a long time ago. I never really thought I would want to get a automated or semi-automated press. I always thought my single stage presses were plenty good enough for me. Well, now that I've tried this, I gotta say, I really like using a turret press, and I like it a lot more than the Progressive. I worked with the Progressive for a little while and did load some ammo with it. I just feel like I've got much more control over what's happening with this as opposed to a Progressive. Can you get ammunition out of a Progressive faster? Yeah, every time you pull the arm down, you get a complete cartridge out. With this, it's 4. But like I said, I just feel like I got more control. So just to make sure I had a good feel for how this press worked, I ran some more through it so I can make sure I worked it out a little bit. And I got to admit, I like the press. It's got some good heavy linkages. Ram is heavy duty. Is it any more advanced than any other turret press? No, probably not. It's probably on par with all the other turret presses out there, but just to give you an idea, I got online real quick to get some comparison prices. The Lyman turret press, about $240. The Redding turret press, about $370, and the RCBS about $280. $120 on Amazon. One of the things I did mention about this press is you can change the turrets out if you're so inclined that you feel like you want to buy some extra turrets. You can. And just leave your dies in it, and whenever you want to load a particular caliber, just pull that turret out and slap it in the press. Me, I kind of like to adjust the dies each time, make sure everything's okay. So anyway, that's my take on it. I hope you enjoyed the series, and if you like it, please subscribe. Take care, everybody.